So, I want to talk about feeling like you can't stop working as a PhD. We all feel like that, and that is pretty real in terms of that feeling, that desire that we can't stop working and that we need to keep executing on the particular task that we're going through. And I want to talk about how do we actually deal with this and what do you go through in the sort of thought processes to go through. So in the back of my head right now, I'm always thinking like that, right? And so I'm telling you that it's very difficult to get rid of any of that stuff. And anybody that is serious about the career, anybody that I've ever talked to, they all have the same thoughts and feelings. But I learned how to deal with this and manage this. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massack. I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and in entrepreneurship. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. By the way, if you think that's kind of weird, I study a lot of behavior stuff and I study all about decision making and things like that. So it's actually not that far from the field of what I'm going through. And a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of innovators feel the same sort of beliefs. A lot of leaders and organizations feel the same thing. You know, the sort of CEO, top management types, they feel the same sort of desires and things that you're going to experience. And what's going to happen is you're going to feel like you need to keep working all the time. And the other sort of second thing that's going to happen is you're going to feel like nobody understands the fact that you actually have to work all the time. And it's true, right? Like the only people that really understand what's going on is probably you and maybe your supervisor or maybe your lab mate or something like that. Somebody that's nearby, they're going to understand what's going on. There is this sort of huge push in the career towards competition and viewing competition in a very positive way. I don't know the sort of history behind that and why competition has become so intertwined, but it's very real. If you look at the history or you look at I remember reading, there's a great article, and I can't remember who wrote it, but it's a sociology journal about the sociology of scientists. And them talking, this was back in the 1960s and 70s, talking about how scientists feel this great desire and sort of push towards things. If you sort of read accounts, it's always been there. And what I want you to, so first of all, none of that is really healthy in any sort of way, right? It's not going to change what's going to happen in your life, right? That sort of pull towards something doesn't change. A desire doesn't change who you are as an individual. What changes is you're actually doing the stuff, right? And that's the more important thing, is actually executing on it. And so I want you to sort of get to the moment where you can execute on something and do that on a pretty consistent basis. I don't want you to, and here's what's going to happen. Every PhD student, everybody goes through this exact same thing. You're going to work really hard for about 2 months, maybe, and then you're going to feel burnt out and you're not going to want to do this stuff ever again. It's not like doing an undergraduate degree in any sort of way, because it's never ending. It constantly repeats. And those people that have been longer in the career completely understand what I'm saying. And what you'll actually see in the career is that people getting to the point where they reach a certain stage when they're sort of fulfilled that sprint, whatever that sort of sprint feeling is, and then pursuing something else. That's like typical, right? So whether that is once they finish their PhD, once they have actually became a professor, once they became, associate professor or full professor, whatever, they get that sort of sprint feeling, self-fulfilled, and they go on to do something else, and they sort of exit the sort of research paradigm of things. And that's really normal to go through all of those feelings. What I want you to sort of do is think about what you're actually doing and focus on that and focus on sort of self-sustaining that rather than the cognitive, the sort of thought processing of things. I know that seems weird because we do so much stuff in our brain that we're sort of, we're thinkers in our careers, right? But what I want you to get at is instead of focusing on maintaining this sort of how to become the smartest and compete with everybody else and all of that kind of stuff. Figure about the actual behavior that you're doing and think about, what does it mean for me to do these things and to live a healthy life, to do these particular things, to sort of self-sustain that. So the image, by the way, look at that. Dad is the captain of my ship. That's awesome. I got that a few years ago. So instead of thinking of how do you, how do I actually do these particular things, I want you to think about, like, what is the actions that I do? What are the behaviors that I do to actually get there? And what does that mean? So that means, living a healthy life, right? So getting plenty of sleep, making sure that you do the things that you need to do, actually have good conversations with people that actually care about you, and those kind of things, like sitting down and doing the work, and then when it's done, right? Like, think about how you can manage that so you have it sort of compartmentalized and live a healthy life where you are thinking about the actions to actually get there. So that means the actions to get there. So you as a human being is basically a machine, right? Like, you're a machine. What does a machine actually need? They need, surprisingly, people don't realize this, they need downtime to fix things. That's, regular maintenance. I was an engineer. And so this is the way I sort of think about these. You have to do regular maintenance, for example. You have to, which means downtime, fixing things. You have to do, make sure that you have a lot of energy, that you're getting energy to the system. So that is like actually eating properly. You need to make sure that you're doing all sorts of different things of making sure that you are doing well with who you are so that you can accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. That's all I want to talk about today. Just make sure that keep coming back to making sure that you're healthy. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.